Welcome back to our podcast, Finding the You in Mum. And today I am so excited to be introducing my guest and dear friend, Georgie.
Hello.
Welcome, Georgie. Can we kick off by you just telling us a little bit about your background? I know it is extremely extensive and colourful and spans continents, but if you could give us just a little update.
Sure. I'm a digital artist and it's my whole purpose in life as a creative. I use technology and storytelling to create experiences for people. So mainly making installations for festivals and institutions, cultural institutions. But the whole purpose of my practice is to elicit empathy. So I grew up in moving around and living in many different cultures from a really young age. So I never really understood that idea of racism or homophobia or the things that separate humans. My creative passion is I use my creative skills to connect people to themselves and to each other. Yeah, so all the work that I do is interactive so people can find their creative spirit within the experiences that I make.
Yep, and I've seen your work. I've gone to some of your performance or exhibitions rather, and yeah, they're very interactive, they're inspiring.
Thanks.
And I personally found them very thought-provoking, especially that one where you step into the image of someone else who's in a story.
Yeah.
Telling their
you
story.
Shift into them, yeah.
Yeah, that merging is really powerful and allowed me to think more deeply about what they were saying and imagining myself living their life and just the challenges that some of these people that are fringe dwellers are experiencing.
Yeah.
So yes, your work's really inspirational and that's why I was so excited to have you on the podcast. In addition to that, you're a stepmom.
Yeah, for the third time actually as well. So
not your first rodeo. And it's good because in this podcast, I have obviously been inspired by my work as a psychologist helping women maintain their identity while also being a mum. But of course, you're aware, you know my children. I've got 5 kids and that's something that I've had to claw back throughout the eldest one's
23 now.
Yeah, arriving on the planet. It must have been different for you though, because you enter into a story that's already commenced and your stepchild or children have already been conditioned and already have personalities that have been quite separate from you. So tell us just a little bit about that.
I was quite lucky that I'm on my third time of being a stepmom, but the first 2, the children were very, very young. So like 2 and 3.
Yes.
And babies are gorgeous as well. And so that was a lot more of a fluid transition for them as well as for me. And I think the difficulty when you find these relationships with children through love and then you lose that love, that can be quite difficult and you have to really say goodbye to somebody that's a part of you, a child that's a part of you. So I think this third relationship, which is, I'd like to say forever, and it took me a while to trust that and to be able to give my heart completely and jump all the way into that relationship because I'd lost the other 2 children through different relationships.
And do you feel you have?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're there. And I've met.
And she's a girl. The other 2 were boys. That's a very different story.
I remember when you and I were first getting to know each other and you were telling me your story of, I guess, parenthood. And when you were describing little Havana, the love that you had in your voice and the way you described her in such a beautiful, knowing way, I actually was temporarily confused. I thought she was actually your offspring. And then when you went on to say that she's your stepdaughter, I just thought, how lucky is this kid to get you as a stepmom, who I know.
It goes both ways. She gives it out too.
But I think it's a very special unison that you have, and just the love that you shared felt or expressed to me felt so organic and real.
Yeah.
And that takes courage, I think, from what you just said before. I guess we don't think in that way, like that you have a lot to lose if you invest in love.
Yeah.
It's not like there's guarantees in terms of this relationship. It's very much dependent.
Nothing's ever 100% sure. Right?
No, it's dependent on the success of your actual relationship.
Yeah.
So, let's hope that Ian doesn't stuff up in some way and lose you.
And it was true, though, because my mum and I both thought I'd eventually, have a baby of my own and a little brown-eyed girl. And then when I met her, I was like, oh, it's you. You're the brown-eyed girl.
Yeah. So you'd wanted to have a child during the course of your life. You'd imagined that as part of the
Yeah,
story?
I just left it later and later, and then the love had gone out of the relationships, and then, you know, it's just timing, really.
Yeah.
Meeting the right one at the right time.
I think that story's definitely understood by a lot of people.
Yeah.
I know firsthand people that just missed that boat because it's the biological clock is fairly unforgiving.
Yeah.
And we have so much in our lives that we want to get done. And then you circle back and you're like, geez, those damn eggs.
Gone already. Yeah.
So let's ask you some of the questions. Now, it was interesting before we started today, you were saying, I don't know, the questions that you've got here for me to choose from aren't necessarily easily resonating because they're very much designed for mothers versus stepmothers. So please look forward to some poetic license. I don't mind if we go totally off script, but I will just start with these questions.
Sure.
And you just play around with them as you like because it's such a great topic, the stepmother role, and I hope that you're the first of many stepmoms I get to interview.
Yeah.
So what mantra, mindset, or piece of wisdom that keeps you grounded and confident as a working mum?
Keeping grounded, it's easier when you're a stepmother because you're not 100% of the time with your focus on your child. You're allowed to have that space for yourself. But I think what's really important is to not resent when you do have to. It's about giving up what you're used to, whereas the other way around, it's like you have to try and claw back your time. But I think the most important thing is just to make sure that you do the things that are most important to you in the day, even if you've got to prepare the lunch or help her get dressed, or just make sure you get up a little bit earlier so that you can do those things, whether it's meditation, whether it's self-care, whether it's washing your hair, whatever it is. But I think if you do those things first, then, then you're ready to give up that time.
And
spend that time.
What's your special thing that you must do each day that makes you feel like you're ready to be that generous stepmom and give to your young person?
I'd say sport, physical activity is really good early in the morning, and then singing. I've got to be singing. And then what's really lovely is that Havana has got a beautiful voice, and that's very much one of the things that she wants to do with her life. So we end up singing together, and then so I get even more than I bargained for.
Yeah, value add. And she gets to perhaps reference you if she does pursue a career, or even if it just remains a passion. You'll now be instilled in her memory of how it was nurtured and celebrated.
Yeah,
that's wonderful. What's a dream or passion you have quietly held on to, even if it feels impossible right now?
Dream or passion is to probably be able to, in terms of with her or for myself?
I think for yourself. So it means that because at the moment your time is at least partially compromised, all of the things that we want to do as mothers can't all happen. Yeah. And it's nice to think that it's not forever lost, it's just on ice.
Yeah. I guess the one thing I've had to really give up a little bit is music, because always when I had that final bit of spare time, I'd write, or I'd play guitar, or I'd write new songs, those little bits are, what go towards getting the dinner ready, spending time. Yes. A dream would be to be able to have more time. Everybody wants more time to do that. And now my career's getting to a point where the budgets are getting bigger and more regular. Then that means I'll have more time to spend with her and really sit in that moment, rather than okay, I've got half an hour and then I've got to go and do this other thing, and then I'll be back, and then you've got to do this, and don't forget you haven't done this, and
and it becomes like that. It comes it's like a cartoon of yourself almost, of just every
with a million arms, and you're like putting the washing on and frying an egg and
singing along the way, which I love. At least the thing with singing is it's quite portable.
Yeah,
you can do it in a car, anywhere. So that's marvellous. So what does finding the you in mum mean to you? Because it's an interesting concept. Do you see yourself as a mum?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I'm MG, Mama G. That's my nickname for Havana. But yeah. And she called me Mama from a really young age, which just broke my heart. I think that's when I truly fell in love. And so I do see myself as a mum, but probably more of a mentor at this stage. She's 9, and so she doesn't really need mothering. She's a very independent spirit.
She's such a strong little passionate young human that knows herself already. She's quite astonishing.
And I put that down to her father. Ian is devoted to her, and he makes sure she's heard. He goes on her journey with her psychologically, and he's just an incredible father. He's enough for 3 parents, I think. So that also allows me space to then have time out to work if I need to.
And so I guess that really helps, that ventilation where you don't feel that there's this crushing pressure to provide so much for her, allows you not to build any of that resentment.
Exactly.
And actually come in fresh and enjoying it. Yeah, that sounds just lovely. What's the most unexpected way motherhood has healed or transformed part of you?
I think growing up, I left home at 8. I was put into a British boarding school, which was a bit like Harry Potter without the magic. So a prison kind of vibe. Yeah, so growing up with that, I longed and missed my parents a lot. And the love, that's why I really value love. And when I love, I give it all. And so there is some healing that needed to be done there. And also a father who's British, who nobody's special. You know, come on, get on with it, tough love, pull your socks up. And so I think all of those things, that little bit of damage is being able to be healed a little bit through Havana, through Ian, because he has got years of patience for her, whereas I'll sometimes respond in the way I was treated, like, okay, come on, hurry up, you know, and he'll go, no, just let her, and that's been really good for me to work through some of that pain, I think.
And I think that I often think of people that went to boarding school young in life, and 8 is particularly young. Yeah. Like if you think about your cognitive and emotional development at that point, you really are a puppy still.
Yeah.
And that nurturing would have, I imagine, mostly been absent. And yeah, I mean, it probably makes brilliant women and men.
It teaches you independence, and that was... Yeah, that has been, I mean, there's so many good things that come from it as well.
I guess that's also a testimony to your character, that you're resilient and positive, and you looked for opportunities that were good, because as a standalone, it's a challenging way to grow up. And it must be so...
But we had so much love in infancy and childhood. Both my brother and I had so much love. So we knew that we had that base.
That you were cared for.
We weren't sent there because there were no schools where we were living. We're living in remote islands in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
So it's either get a bad education and we'll get no education, or do this.
So that's nice, because it sounds like you haven't needed to necessarily harbour a lot of resentment to your parents around it.
We're so close because we didn't have it on tap. We are like best friends. My parents cherish it. We cherish it. It's always special. It's always like the champagne, and every time we see each other.
And because I also know I've had the privilege of being Ian's friend as well, he is that guy that you describe. He is gentle and very
and solid.
Yeah, and he sees people. He wants to know. He's
curious. Also empowers people.
Yeah, he's very, for someone that's done his career, his whole career's been in fighting, physically fighting. He couldn't be a bigger juxtapose if he tried.
Yeah. But he's like me. He had a purpose in life, and his becoming a world champion was to help people, and that's what I have through my creative thing. So we're a good combo.
Good combo. That kid's lucky. So when was a moment in motherhood when you felt completely lost, and how did you find your way back to yourself?
I think at the beginning I was trying to do too much, and I think Ian was very focused on his work at that time, and I wanted to be like this perfect mum, and so I was stepping in and trying to discipline her, and I had to do a lot of the grunt work of being a mother in terms of running the bath, getting her dressed, getting her lunch ready, all those sorts of things. And then I started to feel resentment, and then I started to feel lost, and then I felt, because I was getting more frustrated with trying to discipline her, it just made me feel like I was losing her love as well. So then I felt completely outside, and I just realized I just had to let go. I just had to let Ian take back the reins, and it wasn't my job to discipline anymore. It's my job to just guide and be there and remind him if things need to be done, but not step in. Because sometimes if someone's deep in work and it's 9 o'clock and the kid hasn't had a bath, hasn't been fed, you've got to do something, right? Absolutely. But instead of me jumping in And trying to do that, I would just step back and let him and remind him. And then we got the balance right again.
Yeah, and I think that's really wise. And also,
I want to be the fun one, not
and I love the way you get to choose. It's almost like, look, I'm going to take on this role, and it's not lost to me that I've come in at a certain point, so I can decide how I want this to feel, what flavor I want it to be. Do I want to, boots and all, mirror the parenting role and make sure that I'm involved in every aspect, or do I want to take the opportunity to cherry pick the bits that suit, because there is
bits I'm good at.
Yeah, which you're good at, and the things that will be so important in her development as well. And you know, this relationship that you're forging, it's got the potential to be unique, because there's nothing prescribed about how you have to do it.
No, there's no book. And also because I was quite disciplined, and I still am. Have you cleaned your room? You can do that once you've at the beginning, and now I'm more fun. It's really kept her more independent and more self-disciplined anyway.
And you set the template.
And I can be fun now with it. We can be a bit more relaxed and let her discipline herself.
Which is what you want. You want her to be self-regulating and capable, and still be able to come for cuddles. So,
the cuddles are everything. I think that's the best part of parenting.
Pretty gold, yes they are.
The snuggles.
How do you introduce your child to the different aspects of who you are beyond being their stepmom?
Oh, but that one's quite easy, because I've always sustained my creative career, and Havana's been to every single big installation in the festivals. She's the one telling people how to use the tech. There is my little sidekick. So I think she's always seen me in that creative professional mode, and being quite proud of that, and taking her friends to show what I've been doing and stuff. So I think that's been an easy one for me, as opposed to being a full-time mum when you don't have that same freedom to.
And also just, it's still interesting in that, even separate from your career, you're still like an adult woman that, you know, has adult themed ideas and behaviors, and of course we've like sectioned that away when the kids are young. I know myself, like I've looked forward to when it feels age appropriate for the kids to know a little bit more about my ideologies, or a little bit about my history, or just things, so that I get to be a bit more 3D. And it's hard, because obviously
that's a great way of describing it. You get to be more 3D.
3D, because I felt like for a while I was a bit 2D, and it felt like there was in some ways a lack of sincerity, because I thought, you guys don't actually know a lot about me in terms of just my spirit and the way I love to, because I was so busy in the trenches with some crazy idea of having the 4 kids in 5 years meant that I was never up for air. I felt like for a long time I was just parenting, and I'm like, just wait, as soon as we can relax for 5, I've got all this other stuff that I'd love to let you know about myself. It's nice.
And that's lovely that you can release those chapters slowly to your kids. And then they fall in love with you over and over again, like, wow, I never knew mum was like that.
Yeah, well, hopefully that's what their commentary is on that. And like, oh my God, I preferred it back when she just had the apron on.
No. I can't wait to record music with Havana. She's got a great voice, and we'll make songs together. There's so much to look forward to.
I love the fact
she's creative and I'm creative, and I'm sure that there's going to be a long journey there.
And you guys
working
can
together,
have that special bond that just almost becomes your own little language, that thread that no one can ever break or penetrate or even know as deeply as what you guys are experiencing. So what routines or rituals help you reconnect with yourself after a busy day, or during a busy day, even not even after, during? I find I need little top-ups. What about you?
I mean, music is good to connect to yourself. Like, just even if you sit down with the guitar and just have a little sing or have a little play, that's good. Because I work from home, I can do that. I need to learn how to meditate. That's the next thing to learn. That would be a good opportunity to connect with myself.
What is it that makes you think meditation would be good? Because I wholeheartedly agree, but
just sit still in that quiet space and just allow your mind to wander and connect. And singing is a bit like a meditation. But you've just got to make room for it. People say, I haven't got time for that, but you really just got to carve out a little 5 minutes, and then that becomes 20, and then that's enough.
That's exactly right. We're all time poor, but I always make time for the things that I know keep me stationed and clear. And some of those things may, to the onlooker, seem indulgent. Like I always still read a few pages from my novel every day, whatever I'm reading currently, because reading's such a big part of who I am. And I have so many people that say, I don't have any time to read. And I'm like, it isn't a whole heap of time. And what it gives me.
You can give yourself 20 minutes in bed before you go to sleep.
That's when I do it.
Yeah.
That's when I do it. Even though it's not good necessarily to do activities in bed if you've got sleep issues.
Oh,
just a side little hint.
Oh.
But yeah, I do break that rule. Okay, so who inspires you to stay true to yourself? I love that question.
All the women in my life and my partner, all my friends. Yeah, Ian is just sees me for who I am. It's the first relationship I've had where I've not been dominated or tried to be controlled, or he really sees me for who I am and really loves to see me come out more and more. And since we've been together, I've become more and more confident to have that in my life.
Which is amazing for you to say that, because obviously I've met you since you've been together and I see you as such a powerful entity. Our conversations are spirited. You have a strong sense of what you believe in. The idea of someone dominating you feels like such an abstract concept. So
I never lost myself, but it was a real challenge to get through one relationship in my life, which was.
And what made you attracted to someone that was obviously part of his agenda was to control you?
At the beginning, because he was Spanish and it was culturally different, and I moved to Spain, that was all sort of like disguised by this whirlwind of a new love that was all empowering and just obsessive and
sexy.
Passionate.
Yes.
And then time in Spain was really good, hints of it, but then moving back here, that all came reared its big ugly head.
Was it the contrast of cultures, you getting back here and realising?
Oh, him losing his confidence as a Spanish male in his own environment.
Yes.
Meant that whatever he had was elevated because of his insecurities. So then it became even more dominating.
And so it must just feel lovely that you're in this new chapter of your life where you, at least for an onlooker like me, seem very, very confident and empowered in that you know you're loved by your person, you know you're loved by your stepdaughter.
And I've got incredible friends.
Incredible friends.
Yeah. You included.
That sounds great. And then what beliefs or thought patterns have you had to unlearn to maintain a sense of balance and individuality as a stepmom? So the unlearning bits is interesting as learning for me.
Yeah, I think it was similar to what I mentioned before, that things like when we grew up, it was a very different, so it's really unlearning the way I was parented, I suppose.
So how would you describe how you were parented? Because when I think about what you just mentioned about, I knew you'd gone to boarding school. I didn't know it was that young. Was it, I just imagine these school teacher type figures being
You didn't have
parents.
A mum or a dad. There was a matron and she was scary and you hardly ever saw her. And all the teachers were in their late 60s, early 70s. So very draconian, lots of discipline, school every day except for Sunday.
Did you cry much?
At the beginning, yeah. When I was, so we properly went, my brother was even younger than I was. So, yeah.
Was he 6 when he went?
No. I was actually 9 and my brother was 8. But anyway, at the beginning it was really hard when we were at prep. But then when we became seniors, it became really awesome because it's like a sleepover every night. You're in a dorm with 9 other girls. You're all getting your period. You've got people to talk to about the things that you're feeling. So
you kind of parented yourselves in a way.
Yeah, and I felt like that we were able to talk about things that if you lived at home, you would only get small opportunities to have those deep discussions about, your hormones, about how you feel, about the boy you're in love with, or the disappointment, the heartbreak, all those sorts of things.
So even though it was a bizarre sort of artificial environment
Yeah.
in a lot of ways for a young person, it worked. And I guess that was very dependent also on the cohort, that there were nice enough girls there,
exactly.
nice enough people to connect with. I could imagine.
And it taught you how to get on with all different types of personalities as well, because you had to survive.
Yeah.
And we had such a loving time at home, and then this contrast. So I think letting go of, like, Ian is very generous with Havana. He'll give her everything that she wants. And I still struggle with that because I always was taught that you shouldn't give a child too much, because then they become spoiled and then they become entitled. But she doesn't. She's not entitled. So
I think there's a bit of truth in all of it. It's fascinating.
That's proved me wrong in some ways. I guess it's the type of personality the child is. If they're a grateful child and taught that things don't just grow on trees, then it's going to be okay. And I learn to share.
Yeah, and the awareness of watching how it's unfolding. And if she was becoming a little bit entitled or expectant or lost that sort of gratitude, you'd probably pivot your approach depending on where her needs are. But I think that it just is such an interesting circumstance that you would have just been pressed up against this weird contrast. Yeah. Because you were not mollycoddled. Not that I'm suggesting she necessarily...
We didn't even have TV till we were like 18. We weren't even allowed television, so we were completely...
I could interview you on a lot of different psychological levels, Georgie. Maybe I'll do other podcasts in the future.
Yeah.
And then finally, what boundaries have you put in place to protect your personal time and space, and how do you keep that?
I think I'm learning to be honest with my partner that, hey, I need this time. And he will 100% every single time go, okay, I've got this, 100%. And he will say, Havana, don't bother mummy.
Yeah.
Until you can bother her. Yeah. And she respects that most of the time.
See, that's just even a lovely concept. Yeah. That it's not so kid-centric, that within the home, there's this pecking order that you bend to the needs and the whims of the young person and just forfeit what's going on for you. So I'm hoping that then translates that you're very current with what your needs are. Yeah. And you're able to
I don't ever feel like I have to, it's a big challenge to kind of claw back. It's always pretty there. And likewise, when he's really busy and he really needs, then I'll jump in and
happily do that.
The solo parent thing for him, if it means that his career he's got important things that he needs to get done.
So do you recommend the role of stepmom?
Yeah, I think we need to get a better rap, that's for sure.
It's true.
And not evil
stepmom.
And I also think too that I think I'm going to have an interesting journey with Havana when she gets older, through her teenage years, because I'm not on tap. I'm coming in and coming out constantly. Then she might feel comfortable to talk about things that are sometimes difficult with your own flesh and blood,
I imagine that would be, I think, gosh,
everything. Yeah. I like a boy, all that sort of stuff.
Or just, I'm struggling.
Yeah, or I'm struggling.
You've created a safe place and you're sort of paving that way now by her feeling safe and her feeling that you're not going to judge her and you welcome her stories. And she's just so lucky. And I think from my perspective, I tried to generate that in terms of one of my dear friends being like the godparent type role for each of my children, so that they have someone specific that has their back. That they need to complain about me or Dave, which I'm sure has happened a lot. They've got a place that they know is confidential and sacred. And imagine having that built in-house. Like, how lucky is that?
Yeah.
Your point earlier about this whole vilification of the stepmom, I'm hoping that's feeling like it's aging out now, like it's dated.
Yeah, it's a bit Cinderella, come on.
Just a bit much. Yeah. Because I have so many stories now with my clients about how they may have initially struggled with the adjustment of having this figure in their life that it's hard to know the dance because the script isn't understood. And everyone's learning. I'm the stepmom. What are the rules? What can I can't do? I'm the stepchild. How do I feel? When do I lean in? When's it safe? And getting your sea legs around that.
It's difficult, that moment at the beginning. It was like, even though I told you I was trying to discipline her because I felt, and And I felt, oh, am I allowed to do this? Because I'm not actually the mum. And what was really beautiful was that Ian would step in and always have my back and go, did you hear what your mummy said? She said, you've got to go and do this. Now go and do it right now. Yeah, he would always back me. And I think that's really set up the foundation. And we've never really fought in front of her. We've got a really solid, we back each other. And so...
And that brings her feeling safe.
She sees the love, she loves more, she's,
Yeah, it's a perfect circle that just swishes around a lot of love and positive energy and also good messaging.
Yeah.
So, I think so. If we were going to sum up the role of the stepmom, I think it is as precious as being in any kind of mum, grandmother, mother. And I love the fact that you've managed to weave it into your own repertoire. Have you been able to, because I guess for people that have that kid, they've got their career going and then they have this pregnancy and then, that journey. Whereas you enter in from the side and have to incorporate suddenly, I'm a mother role, I'm a stepmother in your CV, I guess, of who you are. Yeah. Did that feel like something you could start to talk about early, or did it take a little while?
It took a while, I think, because of that trust issue, It's like, is this going to be forever? Is this, if I fall in love and then, lose them again? So it took a while,
It's a big commitment, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think it's really about the relationship between you and your partner as well. If that's not going well, then it's going to be really difficult to be a parent in whatever, whether it's step or real parent.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big decision.
It's better that your parents are happy and then they can properly parent.
Yeah.
And her biological mum has found love and she's really happy.
Yes.
So I was like, aren't you lucky, darling? You've got 2 daddies and 2 mummies now. You get 4 times the amount of presents to start with. She was like, it's brilliant.
That's wonderful. Thanks so much for joining me today, Georgie. Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing. And I look forward to watching your stepmother journey further.
Thanks.